A very good morning to all the students of class 3. My name is Prerna and I'm your English teacher. And today we are going to read chapter number 9 from your English book Skyline. And before we start with the chapter, I want all of you to let me know that, when you look at sky in the night, do you ever wonder about what all is there in the sky apart from what all we can see? So we can see moon, we can see stars. So are there any more things in the sky apart from this? And is moon really like the way it appears to us? Are the stars really very small? And what is it like going into the space, and how who can go into space, and how can one go into space? So to get an answer to all these questions, let us start reading chapter number 9 from your English book. So here we go. So this is chapter number 9 of your book, and the name of the chapter is Spacewalk. So let us start reading this chapter. We'll try and find out answer to various questions. When you look at the night sky, do you ever think about the things in the sky? How fascinating would it be to have a chance to go to the space and know more about the moon? Fascinating means interesting. So does it ever interest you to know what all is there in the sky? The people who are trained for traveling in space are called astronauts. So who are the people who go into the space? They are called as astronauts, and they are given special training. Do you wonder what it would be like to be an astronaut? Surely it would be loads of fun. Imagine setting foot on the moon or another planet. But then becoming an astronaut isn't easy. So it's not like, you one day you get up and you say, oh, I want to be an astronaut, and within a week you become an astronaut. It requires a lot of study to be done before you actually become an astronaut, before you actually get a chance to go into the space. You look up the map and chalk out the route. So you have to design a route. Imagine you want to go to the moon from Earth. Both the moon and the Earth are moving on their own orbits all the time. Do you think it is easy to find out the distance between two places which are moving all the time? So let us take an example. Now imagine this is Earth and this is moon. Now these two things are continuously moving. If I tell you find the distance between this place and this place, you think it is easy? No, it is not that easy. And the people who do such scientific research about space and its elements, they are the ones who are called as astronauts. When you are on a spaceship, you can't buy things when you want them. So going to space is not like going to your grandmother's house or to your friend's house on the way. You can you think that you can pick up burgers or pizzas or fruits or soft drinks or water. No, it is not like that. What is it like going into the space? You have to carry with you everything you need: food, water, and oxygen. Why do you have to carry oxygen to space? Because there is no oxygen in the space. This needs a lot of planning. So when astronauts plan to go to the moon, they have to calculate the changing distance between the Earth and the moon. So they need to calculate that from Earth we are going to moon, so how many days it is going to take us, how much time it is going to take us, and according to that they need to carry food, water, as well as sufficient amount of oxygen. Do you know that India too has sent astronauts to space? Rakesh Sharma was the first Indian to travel into space in the year 1984. So you see this photo, this is Indian astronaut Mr. Rakesh Sharma, and he was the first Indian to go into the space. In which year? In 1984. The country watched proudly when he was chosen to travel in a spacecraft. He spent more than 7 days in space. When he was asked how India looked from space, he had replied, Sare jahan se acha. So when Mr. Rakesh Sharma was in space, he was also communicating with our then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. So Mrs. Indira Gandhi asked him that, Mr. Rakesh Sharma, how does India looks from the space? So he gave the reply, Sare jahan se acha. Astronauts sometimes need to go into space. Can an astronaut get out of the spaceship? So is there any particular reason that the astronaut have to step out of their spaceship? Let us find out if there are any reasons or factors because of which the astronauts have to move out of the spaceship. Yes, he or she can get out of the spaceship and walk. This is called a spacewalk. Astronauts go on spacewalks for many reasons. Spacewalks allow astronauts to repair things outside their spacecraft while still in space. So if they feel that the spacecraft requires some repairing, they also step out of the spacecraft. And what is the other reason? They also conduct science experiments out in space. Alex Leonov, a Russian cosmonaut, first spacewalked in 1965. It was a 10 minutes walk. So who was the first man to walk in space? That was Russian astronaut Alex Leonov. And then it was in the year 1965. And for what was the duration of his spacewalk? It was 10 minutes. The first American to walk in space was astronaut Ed White. His walk lasted for 23 minutes. Can you imagine how he would have felt floating in space miles and miles away from the earth all by himself? Now you've already seen the photo of Mr. Rakesh Sharma, the Indian astronaut who was first sent to space. Let us have a let us have a look at the photo of the Russian astronaut Alex Leonov and the first American astronaut to go into space. I'll show you the photo of both the astronauts. So this is Alex Leonov. He was the first human to walk in space, and he belonged to Russia, and he walked for 10 minutes. Then the first American to walk in space for 23 minutes was Ed White. All right. So let us continue reading the chapter now. Okay. So now you've learned about the people who walk into the space and what are the reasons that the astronauts have to come out of the spaceship. When astronauts go on spacewalks, they wear space suits. So when I showed you the photo of both the astronauts, they were wearing a specially designed suit, and that suit is called as a space suit. Space suits protect spacewalkers from the harsh environment of space. Space suits also give astronauts oxygen and water. The suits are filled with oxygen. Astronauts leave the spacecraft through a special door called an airlock. While they are out, they are attached to the spaceship so that they do not float away, so that they do not get disconnected with the spaceship. They are attached to the spaceship. After the spacewalk, astronauts go back inside through the airlock. Floating in space is a lot like floating in water. So when you are in space and when you are floating, because there's no gravity, there's nothing which pulls you, which keeps you grounded on the there's nothing which keeps holds you to the ground. So that is the reason astronauts float in the space. So it's a lot like floating in the water, the way you swim. Astronauts practice spacewalking in large swimming pools wearing their space suit, because the space suit is very heavy and it's a different kind of uh, wardrobe that they are supposed to wear. So the astronauts practice spacewalk by floating in the water. And there's one question for all of you, that do you want to be an astronaut one day? So if you want to be an astronaut one day, remember it requires a lot of study, a lot of hard work and dedication. So I hope all of you enjoyed reading this chapter. Thank you so much.